Have you ever dreamed of getting a photo of two giant bull elks locked in battle? This week's video is about elk and the elk rut. Tips and techniques for locating elk faster, and once you locate them, positioning yourself for the best possible photo, maybe even the photo of your dreams, two massive bull elk clashing antlers. If you're new to my channel, I'm Matt, full-time nature photographer and cinematic filmmaker. I travel the country in my van making these videos to pass along the information I've learned along the way. Plus I give photography tips and tricks. If you want to check out those educational videos, I'll link the playlist in the description below so you can check those out. First, we're going to go over the things you should be looking for when you're tracking elk or looking for them pre-rut to locate them for the rut. You want to look for tracks, obviously. You want to look for elk droppings, bedding areas, scrapes, and rubs. Rubs being the most important because that means there are bull elk in the area, and bull elk is what we're looking for. If you find elk tracks, you want to be sure they're fresh elk tracks. You can tell this by looking for moisture in the track. You can look at raindrops in or around the track. If there's raindrops in the track, then you know it was previous to the last rain. If there's no raindrops in the track, the elk was there after it rained. So that's good information. You can also look down dirt roads for tracks. This is a great way to indicate how fresh the track is, because if it's on top of the tire tracks from the day before, you know it's extremely fresh, and this area is a great place to look for an elk. The same thing goes for elk droppings. You want to make sure they're still moist. They're not super dried out, because if it's from a few months ago, the elk might have moved along. So fresh tracks and fresh droppings is a good sign. When looking for rubs, or if you find a rub, you need to inspect the rub to ensure that it's not dried out or the bark is not dried out. If the tree is still moist, or the tree underneath the bark that has been removed is still moist, this is a great indicator that there's a bull elk in the area and it's fresh, and that's exactly what you want. You just want to make sure the rub is fresh so it's not from last year and you're chasing something that's not there anymore. Next, we're going to talk about the different ways to locate elk, specifically bull elk. You can use the drive around method. This is very effective. You can just look for them. Oftentimes they'll be out grazing in a field, but during the rut they do move around a lot more, so this can be kind of tricky, because if you pass by an area there might not be anything there, and then 10 minutes later there's a bull elk running across the field. The drive around method often works well because you're covering a lot of ground, even though you might miss a few things. The other option to driving around is find a good place and get a spotting scope and do some glassing. You can cover a large area from one position and not have to move around. And then there's my favorite way to locate elk. You can wake up early in the morning before daylight. You come to a high point like this here and you listen for them. You listen for their bugles. Oftentimes, the first hour of daylight, the elk will bugle regularly back and forth. You can get an idea which direction they are, which direction they're moving, and this is a 100% guaranteed way to locate bull elk. Speaking of that, once you've located some elk and they're bugling, it's very important to listen to which direction the bugles are headed, or which way they're moving, or how many of them are, or if they're getting close together or further away. If you have a situation where one elk is bugling but getting further away, and one elk is bugling but getting closer to you, you likely have a scenario where the elk that's moving away has cows. The elk that's moving towards you is a lone bull, and he's chasing that other elk with those cows. So you want to position yourself across a field or across a line of sight where that elk, that bull elk, the lone bull elk, might come running out into that space where you could possibly get a great photo of an angry young bull elk. If you locate some cow elk and they're just grazing, you can often hang near those cow elk and listen for some bugles. If you hear some bugles in the distance, especially if they're moving closer, you want to stay with those cows because the bulls are coming. If it's just one, hey, you still get one. But if there's two of them, they could possibly fight over those cows. If you see a bull elk and there's cows there, and you hear a bugling elk in the distance that's coming closer, this is the ideal scenario, because you have a bull, he has cows, and he's not leaving, which means he doesn't care about the other bull that's coming. So you definitely want to stay with those. You want to position yourself for a fight or some action photos, because that's your best case scenario for getting an elk fight. The other ideal scenario is hearing two bugling elk moving towards each other. In this situation, they're either both looking for cows or one of them is trying to protect the cows that he has and he's moving towards the other bull. In this scenario, you want to position yourself where you have a line of sight in the direction where the two bulls might meet. Like this situation where I heard two bulls bugling but moving closer to each other, I was lucky enough to be in a good position with a good view, was able to witness the entire fight from start to finish when one bull gave up. Remember to keep your shutter speed up, because even if it's a lone bull, he will likely be running or trotting. And in the case that there is a fight, you want to be sure to get sharp action shots. As far as shooting time goes, you can shoot in the morning or in the afternoon. They're both good, but I prefer the morning hours. I feel like the elk are actively bugling more in the morning. Plus you have cool weather, so you can likely get some steam coming out as their breath, or you can see their breath. It makes it visible. This presents an amazing opportunity for a backlit photo with the steam coming out. You can also position yourself with the sun at your back, especially if you hear the elk bugling and you can narrow down the direction that he's moving. Oftentimes, if you can get the sun at your back, get the sun in the elk's face, especially in the morning when the sun's still orange and it's low on the horizon. If you can get that golden sun in the elk's face, this will give you the best quality photo of the elk itself. In just a few short weeks, they're going to start the rut season. Just remember, when elk are in the rut, they're more aggressive, so you got to give them a little bit of extra distance to make sure you're safe. It's gotten really smoky here, as you can tell behind me in the Tetons. There's a nearby wildfire. So I think I'm going to head north to Glacier National Park next week. I'm going to be taking my camera and making a video about Glacier National Park and what to expect if you ever visit there for photography. So hit the bell and subscribe to my channel so you get a notification when that video comes out. If you enjoyed this video and you want to check out another one, last week I went to Yellowstone National Park and had an epic 3 days there. I'll attach it right here and I'll see you over there.